I'm Joni Zander. I have the YouTube channel, The Galavan, and The Galavan is short for Gal Adventure Van. And I have been on the road full-time for over 4 years. I don't have a home base, I don't have a storage unit, any of that. Everything that I own, other than a couple of boxes of photo albums, is in my van. Hi, I'm Joni. This is The Galavan. Come on in. One of the things that was really important to me in my build was having a functional kitchen. Basically, this is an Airbnb on wheels for me. I don't like sleeping in hotels or anything. I like to have my own bed and my own kitchen, my own food. So I did a large kitchen sink, which is a bar sink, but still much bigger than most RV sinks, with a pull-out faucet so that I could wash my hair and do really good sponge baths. Here is my fridge. This one is actually a freezer that is regulated at a fridge temperature. When I started, I had the Isotherm 130 drawer that was really cool. It had a freezer and a fridge, but it couldn't keep up with the hot temperatures because of the way it was installed. And so last summer I had to switch it out for something that would actually keep up with the temperatures. And so now this one, if you're into batteries and power and all that, this one draws up to 11 amps every 24 hours. Most fridges are 60 to 80. I mean, when I replaced it, the fridge was drawing 85 amps per 24 hours, and it wasn't keeping temperature. So huge change on my battery bank. So one of the things that I really wanted was a lot of counter space. You'll notice that I have more counter space than a lot of apartments do. And the way that I did that was by using just an induction burner and pulling it out when I need it, because I don't need it all that often. And so that really works really well. And this also is really easy on the batteries as well. And so my cooking, I have the induction burner that I just showed you, but I also use an Instant Pot. And I do most of my cooking in the Instant Pot. And I just pull that out and plop it on the counter. I went as marine as possible in this van because marine stuff is just so much higher quality. And one of the things that I absolutely love are these slam latches. I love it because they look cool, but also they just latch when you close the door. So I never have to think about, is everything locked down when I start to drive? This is just utensils. One thing about van life is you don't need as much as you think you do. Like if you're going from a house to a van, you're thinking, you probably had a set of 8 or 12 dishes and all the silverware to go with it. I probably have more silverware than I need in 3 each. The things that I use the most, these were actually stored somewhere else before, but I use them so much with the things in this drawer that I just plopped them in this drawer. So a tiny little cutting board, a little grater, and then just when you're figuring out what you want in your van, keep track of what you use all the time and then find a home for it. So you can see that everything in here has a home. It's organized. I can find everything. I can actually find pretty much anything in my van in the dark. This is just a junk drawer. Every house needs to have a junk drawer. I am full-time on the road. I have been for 4 years, and so things collect. This is just my one pan that I use with my induction burner. And then there's a pot in here that I thought I would use with the induction burner, but I just use the Instant Pot for everything. But I keep that because every once in a while you need a bigger vessel for things, and it does serve 2 purposes. On this side, I've got my supplements and things like that, and a few spices. One thing, I don't use disposables. You won't see a roll of paper towels in here. You won't see paper plates, that sort of thing. And so I have my one drinking vessel here, and then my containers. I started out with glass containers, but moved to the stainless steel because they're lighter. And then this is where all my spices are. What I've done is so some of them come labeled on the top lid. The ones that didn't, I just wrote on the top lid so that I can see what's there. Again, you don't need everything, right? When you're getting together with van lifers, they will bring their own plate or bowl or whatever. If you're getting together with people in Sticks and Bricks, they have a whole house full of stuff. So it's not important to bring lots and lots of dishes. So I have 2 dinner plates that I rarely use, 2 small plates that I use one of most of the time, a little bowl. This little cup I use for mixing small things. And then this is just a salad bowl. So I take this to potlucks because it's light, it doesn't break, and I can put a lot of stuff in it. And then down here was the start of my pantry. My pantry has now expanded to take over most of under my bed. But one of the things that I have in here is these little bins. There's 2 of them and they stack together. So on the bottom are some cans, and then the things that I find that I use more often in the top bin so that I could store more stuff in the drawer. And then, as I mentioned, my pantry spilled out to under the bed because I'm a total food hoarder. And so I've got, usually this is just fruits and vegetables, but I've got a market basket for my fruits and vegetables. When I started, I made a fruit hammock to hang here, and it would swing and bang against the wall, and I would end up with apple mush running down my wall. And also it gets warm right here. So having the fruit and vegetables under the bed keeps it just a little bit cooler. Because of the pandemic and because I got a mouse. So I used to keep more food over in here, and then a mouse got into it. And this particular drawer was especially attractive to the mouse. And so I picked up some plastic bins, and I did travel all last year during the pandemic, and so I was trying not to stop in little towns for food because I didn't want, if I happened to have COVID, I didn't want to spread it to tiny little communities that didn't have it. So I started carrying more food than I normally did, and it's a hard habit to break. And then you can see under here, I also have a closet that has shrunk since I've been on the road. It used to be all clothes. Then I found out that you just don't need that many clothes when you're on the road. I upgraded to a wool t-shirt, so I can wear that wool t-shirt day after day after day. And you've probably seen the ads on Facebook for the 100-day dress. It's kind of like that, where you can just rinse it out at night if you need to. Usually don't need to because it doesn't hold odors, and then hang it to dry, and it dries overnight. So really shrinking down what you take really helps a lot. So I have a 40-gallon tank under my bed in the back, and so I drink the water from my tank, but I don't drink it directly. I filter it through the Berkey, and this is how I drink. I didn't want to have to pack it up when I moved, and so I just made some straps, and when I fill, I just pull it to the front of the counter, and then I just screwed some straps onto the back. 2 rules I have for myself in my van is never leave the Berkey unstrapped, and never leave the top off my water bottle. I obviously did the unstrapped Berkey once, and it fell, and it was a really expensive mistake. The filters last like 8 years unless you break them, and they're like, I don't know, $200 to replace $150 to replace the filters. So that was a very expensive mistake. So always strap it down, always put the lid on the water bottle, because in a small space like that, when you're moving around, it's so easy to knock things over. I chose van life Because I could. I was already, so I've been with doTERRA essential oils for 10 years now. And so I was already 6 years into it. I was able to work from anywhere. I was already doing a lot of my work on the phone and on the internet anyway. And it intrigued me. My cousin had a Sprinter van that she brought to a family reunion like 5 years before, and I fell in love with it. And I knew that that was what I wanted, but I didn't want exactly her van. I ended up researching and wanted to build it myself. I don't really have a lot of upper body strength, didn't have the tools, and so I hired a tiny house builder to build out my design. This is the lounge area, and it was important to me to have as much of the van usable as possible. So I opted for the factory swivel seats. I did buy this van from the factory. I had to wait 9 months for it to come from Germany. And so I can seat 2 people here, and then the bench, I can seat 2 people as well. It's so funny because when I'm doing in-person van tours, I can't tell you the number of times that someone's been sitting right here and asking me if I have a toilet in the van. This is my toilet in a box. It is a bucket system, and it's just a built-in bucket with a real toilet seat. I even measured to make sure that the toilet seat was at normal household toilet size height. I have a built-in file box or file drawer because I do work on the road. And so, you just have to have some business supplies. And then lots of happy accidents as far as the design of the van. I had this space. I thought it would work for essential oils, but it ended up working perfectly. So my business is selling essential oils. So these are my personal oils that I have. I have two boxes of those in there. So I have all the oils. Usually when you're designing a van, you are doing a ton of research. And one of the vans that I liked the most, or one of the design elements that I liked the most, was the open shelving. This has, this lip is this long. What is that? Maybe 1.5 inches, 2 inches. And then using bins. None of this stuff ever falls out. None of it. These bottles, the books, none of it falls out. And I go on some pretty gnarly roads, really, really rocky, bouncy roads. The thing that I like about using bins is that you can get so much more in it, and to get into it, you just pull them down, and you can actually access everything in it. Whereas if it's all up there, you're kind of on your tiptoes, trying to peek in there and see what's in there. You open the cabinet and things fall out. So I really like the bin system with the rail. I think it works really well. And if there's 2 of you and you need, the one's driving and the other one needs to grab something, it also doubles as a handrail as you're trying to get and move about the cabin. All right, so I've got an eco-friendly wood ceiling. I believe it's 1/4 inch plywood. And then I've got 2 fans. So this was the first fan in the van. This was actually the first thing I ever put into the van, and the place that would install it only had the Fantastic fans. So even though I'd done the research and already knew that I wanted the MaxxAir, I went ahead and I figured, well, it couldn't be that different, right? I was pretty happy with it until I added the second MaxxAir. Now this one is not in the ideal position. It's there because there used to be an air conditioner there. And once I got on the road, I realized that I don't need an air conditioner because it takes too much power and I don't stay in campgrounds. The air conditioner was my ex-wife's deal. She had to have that. And so the cheapest way to plug that 14-inch hole was to put a fan in. And so I got a MaxxAir, and so having the MaxxAir and the Fantastic fan 3 feet apart, I can easily show people the difference between a Fantastic and a MaxxAir. And the MaxxAir moves tons more air and is way quieter. So I already mentioned that the bed and the kitchen were the thing, right, for the van, where I just wanted a comfortable bed, and a functioning kitchen wherever I went. But it was also important to me to have it be as ecologically friendly and as people friendly as possible. So the choices that I made in the build were very much in line with that. So my counters are a product called Paper Stone. It's recycled paper product that's super hard, super durable. The cabinets are made out of apple ply, which is 13 layers for 3/4 inch. So it's super strong, super true, and very ecologically friendly. And then on the floor, I've got marmoleum, which is basically linseed oil and jute, and beautiful colors. They're fun as well, and it's kind of soft. It's a great product for the floor of a van. And then I've got wool rugs to keep my feet warm. So those are just some of the eco-friendly pieces of the build that a lot of people just don't even think about. And like the Paper Stone and the marmoleum, I was able to get remnants. So it wasn't even like an expensive option. The marmoleum was just $3.99 per square foot, which is pretty good for for a completely non-off-gassing option. Welcome to the bedroom. This van, the whole point of this van is having this bed, a comfortable bed. This is an organic latex mattress with organic sheets and bedding. I actually sleep, so it's a queen size bed. It looks larger because of the edges of the bed, but I wanted to be able to make it really easily, really comfortably. And so when I'm sleeping, the pillows are actually at the back door. So I sleep head to tail in the van. So I always make sure that the tail of my van is either level or a little bit higher than the front of my van to sleep, so that my head is above my feet. I have a couple of coat racks up at up on that side. That hangs my guitar, my hats, some sun shirts. Most of my clothing is stored in these bins here. We've got this one is just socks. And, you can see that I could store a whole bunch more stuff, but I don't need it because I've downsized everything. So all of these bins are all clothing, and then I've got my towels here. And again, open cabinets just really make it so much easier to grab things. It's so easy to just pull the bin down and see everything that's in it. Welcome to the outside of the van. There are some things to note. I've got the rain guards here, which allows me to crack the windows and still not get rain in them. Before I even started, I made these bug screens for the front side windows. I love living in a big magnetic box because you can use magnets for almost everything, and that's how these are attached inside, is just magnets. The event that we're at is predicted to be about 100 degrees, and I have never had an awning. You'll notice that the only thing I have on the outside of my van is up on the roof of my van. I didn't want to have an awning because that just screams RV, and so I decided this week that I needed to do something about the heat and shading my side door. And so I picked up this beach shade from REI. As we pan across the van, you might notice these scrapes right here. I was getting into a boondocking spot and was just a little too close to a tree branch. But so we call these desert pinstripes in the RV world, and I really feel like they're a badge of honor. I think it's really important to not baby your vehicle so much that you're not getting into the places you want to get into. As long as you're not, totally crashing your rig. This is just going to buff out the next time I get it detailed, so it's not that big of a deal. All right, so here is my garage area. Right now, I've got one of my shower curtains shading the inside. It's really nice to have everything serve dual purpose. So having this be the shower curtain and a shade. I made this rear screen, and you'll notice that it's just screened from the top up, and it's just fabric here. And that's because I don't want to always display what's in my garage to everyone. So, but you get to see the super secret garage area. So I've got a folding e-bike in here. I've got Go Treads. Oh my gosh, if you are an RVer, they're recovery mats and blocks at the same time. They're great. I love using them. I also have the Lego blocks back there. So this is the power side of my van. I've got a master kill switch that will just shut down all of the power in case something catastrophic happens. So I have 400 watts of solar on the roof, and that feeds 500 amp hours of lithium ion batteries. And that seems to be a really good ratio, actually. My solar panels top off my batteries every day. So I don't feel like I need more solar to be able to power that much battery. And 500 amp hours, I rarely get below 80% on my batteries. Moving to this side is the water side of my van. I've got a 40-gallon water tank. That lasts me almost a month, or about a month. It depends on how much I'm washing my hands. I don't do any disposable, so everything gets washed. Most of that water I drink, so I use very, very little water when I'm washing things. So this is a kind of a utility drawer, and I carry a little hose, a little water hose. And in here is also extra shower curtains and my shower head. My shower is a European style shower diverter, and what's really cool about that is you can adjust the temperature, and then you have on off. So really good for saving water. So you get it to the temperature you want, and it doesn't take long to get to that temperature. And then you just rinse off, soap up, rinse off, and keep turning the water off. And then I have a 4-gallon electric water heater. Oh, I guess one thing we didn't mention is my van is all electric. I don't have any propane. The only thing that's not electric is my heater, and that taps off of my diesel tank. So I don't have any extra fuel on board. It's all electric. So the pros and cons of van life, I love it. I can go anywhere I want. I prefer to stay places that have signal, and so that limits me a little bit. Starlink, come on, get that mobile dishy. We want this, but it doesn't limit me so much that I can't go to amazing places. The biggest pro that I didn't know about before I got on the road is the community. I have met the greatest people on the road, not necessarily all van lifers, but all nomads of some sort. And they become such good friends so quickly because you're practically living together. And when you're not in a sticks and bricks, you're not tied down to all the obligations that a sticks and bricks life requires. So we have these like pop-up neighborhoods, and we get to choose our neighbors. Can you imagine being able to choose your neighbors all the time? And we're so much more active together. So with my friends, when we're camping, we usually go on a morning walk before we start work. And then we might do something around lunchtime or not. A lot of us will just work through lunch. And then we'll get off early and we'll go for a hike, or we'll have a game night or a dance party or a movie night, or just hang out. And that's almost every night. And the other cool thing is that there's no obligation to participate in everything. So if you feel like you just want to hang out in your rig that night, no big deal. Nobody thinks anything of it. So just the community is just so great. The cons, really the biggest con for me is mail. That is my biggest headache. I have a mail forwarder. They suck. They've managed to send my mail half the time I've requested it. Definitely going to be changing that up, but it's so hard to to find places to get the mail delivered. So I, of course, offload everything to online as much as possible, but sometimes you need to receive things in the mail. The other con for me is getting my hair cut. My hair is very hard to cut because it's so straight. It shows everything. Surprisingly, I've been able to cut it throughout the pandemic myself, do again, but that has been a challenge because I have a really great gal where I call home, Corvallis, Oregon, but it's like nobody can do it the way she does it. So, but that's it. I love being able to move. If I'm uncomfortable somewhere, I just put my key in the ignition and go. I rarely set up outside. I usually just keep everything stowed most of the time, and so I'm able to be really, really nimble, really flexible. And I think that is one of the biggest advantages to van life over any other RV life, is that you can be so much more nimble. You can get into smaller, tighter places. You can get into more epic places. I don't have four-wheel drive, but I do have all-terrain tires, so that allows me to get into some pretty great places. My YouTube channel is The Galavan. I have over 21,000 subscribers at this point. I'm also The Galavan on Facebook, Instagram, and I have thegalavan.com. My other business is doTERRA, and you can find the link below for that one as well. I also, for those who are in my community, I also run a Facebook group called Gal Adventurers. We focus on helping you get on the road and figure it out in a way that will work for you. So thanks for touring the van. Hope to see you down the road.